one of the struggles that I started to realize wasn't really a struggle, it was in my head, was the fact that going to the gym was for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That the first time I actually went into a gym, it was something that I thought people were going to look at me, judge me.
Welcome to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I'm your host, Tenya Eickenberg, and this is a space where transformation begins. Here, we dive deep into energy healing, self-care, and the power of mindset to help you break free from old patterns and design a life that feels aligned, vibrant, and authentically you. True metamorphosis isn't just about change. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Now, let's get into this week's conversation. Welcome back to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I am your host, Tenya, and with me today I have Hipolito. Hipolito, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to hear your story.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I asked you if you said that it's towards the end of the evening for you. You're 6 or 7 hours ahead of me over there in England. How is the weather over there?
Funny you should say that. It's raining, it's dark, it's dismal, it's typical England, I'm afraid to say, but it is almost the middle of February. We're looking forward to maybe in a couple of months' time that we can start to see the sun.
Yeah.
However, weak it might be, but it is nice to get to the spring very soon. It is 7 p.m. here, so it's dark, and like I say, I'm coming to the end of the day.
Yeah. So when I was 6, 7, 8, my dad was stationed at Lakenheath Air Force Base in England. And so my parents didn't take housing on base. So we lived in a little village called Wicken. I don't know where you are in England, but I couldn't tell you where Wicken was either. But I think it was south of London. And great time. I wish I'd been older to appreciate it when we lived there. But my husband took me back 2 years ago, and I got to go back to that village and see the house that we lived in, and it was so surreal. But I was able to appreciate the buildings and the architecture and the culture. And I thought it was amazing. And I'm sure, some people come over to the States and they think it's amazing, but I thought it was amazing to be able to experience those things twice at different ages.
It is very different. I was born in London. My origins are actually from Spain. My parents came to this country many, many years ago. They came because life in Spain wasn't great, but I was born. For different circumstances, I stayed in the UK. I like the UK. I embrace both cultures in exactly the same way. I'm a dual national, and I'm proud to be both. My daughter is exactly the same. She has both citizenships, and I think it's really, really nice to be able to experience different cultures. It gives you a very different insight. I can say that from my perspective, I see the world very differently, say my cousins. So if I speak to someone in Spain that has lived always in Spain, it is very different, and it's given me an outlook on life very differently to perhaps others. And like I say, I embrace both cultures, and I think it's a lovely country. Yes, we moan about the weather, but we have to always appreciate that nature needs some water as well. It's not only about us.
Yep.
Yes, of course, I would love to have the sun, but we are aware that is the case. So, um, what pains me sometimes is for people to talk badly about it, and it's
Yeah.
there's different things. I just see it like I'm fortunate that I've got things that perhaps others don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you said that, sometimes nature needs some watering too, right? That's, right now, I don't know if you have snow, but like we have some snow. Ours, actually, it's more like ice. We had a snowstorm last week, that turned into sleet and then turned into freezing rain. And so there's like this layer of ice on top of the snow that's incredibly hard to get through with anything. I mean, people are using sledgehammers to like bang this stuff off their driveway so that they get their driveways cleared. But the amount of complaining that people do, because we don't get a whole lot of snow all the time. You know, it's not like this every winter. It's like this every 3 or 4 years. But it's like, you know, the earth needs to hibernate sometimes.
Yes.
Like maybe it's just like Mother Earth is just like, I just need a break.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, I used to have a very different outlook on life, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But if you ask my daughter, she will say, yes, can I have the snow? Can I have the snow? I personally, I have a love-hate relationship with the snow. The snow is lovely when it first sets. It's beautiful. But when it starts to get icy, like you said,
Yeah.
it's very dangerous. And we are, I suppose, Klutzes, I suppose, in that we could potentially fall, break a bone, and that just basically puts a very different spin on the
It
snow.
does. Yeah,
So,
I think as we get older, because I'm like your daughter. I love snow. I love my 5 years ago, it just came up in my memories. 5 years ago this week, my husband took me to Vermont because I had always had this dream of going to Vermont, going to a log cabin, having that whole Hallmark uh fantasy, you know, thing going where it's, you know, small town, snow, Christmas lights, all this stuff. And I was like a kid in a candy store when I saw all that snow up there. But this year, I'll be 50 in October, and it just hits differently. I'm not sure what it
by the
is.
by the way, Snap, I'm 50 in next month. So
Ah, 1976 was a great
sorry
year.
to interrupt, but I think it's a milestone.
That is a milestone. It is. It's a great year to celebrate it too.
Yes.
Um, but I this year the cold is just hitting me differently. The way I look at the leftovers, like it was beautiful when it was falling. It was beautiful when the plows hadn't come by yet, and like it was just so glistening, beautiful. But now it's like it's starting to get dirty, and that's the snow I don't like, is the dirty snow.
Mm.
So, but all of the, you know, still have that joy. I mean, I want to go sledding, want to build a snowman, but like I can't. So, but let's get into your story, because you said that over the past several years, your mindset has changed about how you view not just the world, but how you view yourself.
Yes. So
So,
this started in October, November 2019, where I discovered that I had some chest pains. I At first I didn't really think anything of it. Then it became 2, 3, 4, 5 days with these pains. And there was one time where I was sitting at a desk at work, and it was very difficult to even move with this pain. I then decided to go to the general practitioner, the doctor, basically, the GP,
mhm.
as they call it in the UK. And this was also happening whilst I was actually attending an event at my workplace. I was due to deliver a pitch, and I was quite excited because it was something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. I was very nervous, but going to the GP, he basically said to me, we're not worried, but we're going to refer you to have a scan at the hospital. So I went to this hospital, I had an x-ray, and then I visited my GP for the results. And I remember this I will remember it forever, that I was basically sat next to his desk. He then stood over me and said the faithful words: the reason that you were having chest pains is because your heart is 53% bigger
Oh,
than is physically normal. He then proceeded to tell me that if I wanted to watch my daughter grow up, that I needed to change my lifestyle. I needed to change the way that I took care of myself. So up until this point, I really didn't give it much thought. My daughter was 5 at the time, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I can carry on. I'm still young enough to do something about it at a later stage. I always wanted to do something about it, but food was always my coping mechanism through different things that have happened in my life. But I was also the biggest thing that really stuck in my mind is the fact that my daughter, I was seeing my daughter's life through my eyes when I was 9, where I lost my mum.
Mm.
So that was an incredibly traumatic experience that, I don't remember anything before that.
Right.
My life realistically is a blur before 2019. Yes, I remember a lot of things, but it was, I can't really sort of say to you that I really lived my life. So I thought about what I was going to do. Then 2020 came along, and on the 1st of January, I remember weighing myself, and at my heaviest, I was 130 kilos, which I'm told that in pounds is 284 pounds.
Yes, I actually looked it up before we came on because I'm like, I don't know what kilograms is. I'm gonna look this up. But yeah, 200 to about 285 pounds.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So quite considerably, considering that I'm only 5'6". So I'm not a very high, tall man. So I basically did that. And the fortunate thing for me, and I'm going to be very sensitive about this now, but on the 23rd of March, 2020, there was an announcement because of a wonderful thing that happened to us in that same year, which was COVID. So it was announced that they were going to lock down the UK, and one of the things that we could actually do was exercise. So my best friend and I said to each other, what are we going to do? And we said, okay, well, we can go for a walk. And I proposed that we go. And 2 days later, we went to a place called Cherry Orchard, which is a country park, which is 2 miles away from where I live. And she did something really unexpected. We got there. She gave me her dog. She gave me the lead of the dog. And she said, I'm going to start running. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to start running.
Okay.
And
she's like, see ya. Bye.
Yep, see ya, bye. That was it. And I'm considering this is a very, very large place.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, what do I do? Do I follow the lead, or do I basically walk and try to find this wonderful person in this great country park? So I did that. I started one foot in front of the other. It was tough. To say it was tough, I was heavy breathing. She was even joking, saying to me, I can even tell where you're coming because I can hear you breathe. And we did this continuously for 7 weeks, which is the time that I was in lockdown. And with her help, I also had a diet, I suppose not a diet as such, but something, that would not restriction. I don't want to use the word restriction. So basically I cut down.
You were changing your eating habits.
Exactly. Changing my eating habits. And I did that. And after the 7 weeks, in fact, 8 weeks, I basically lost a very large portion of that weight. I actually lost about 30 kilograms. I don't know what that is in pounds because I didn't work that out.
Hold on. I can work that out for you. Because I'm sure I still have I still have it. So 30 kilograms is 66 pounds.
Yes.
66 pounds in 8 weeks.
So I lost that, and then tried to figure out how to do bits and pieces, because obviously there was no gyms, there was no coaches that you could use. It was very difficult. You couldn't even buy equipment. We started to buy equipment. We started to do, like I say, we did things collectively, and we did that for a while. But then there was a situation. I then started to look into going to gyms. I used a lot of apps as well for exercises and did those on my own. Then I went back to work, and it proved a tiny bit more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, I actually had at work a place where I could do these things. So I was allowed to do it in an open space that we had at work, did it with apps. Then some people from work, did it with me. I then started to go to a gym. I got myself a coach, and I even got myself a watch so that I could track what was going on. And I, to an extent, was obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I tracked the first time I actually tracked it with the watch. I actually did 175 days straight.
Wow.
I did, I had to complete the rings, I had to complete the challenges, and I did
Right.
175 days straight. And then something that inevitable happened. And I basically pulled my sciatica.
Oh.
And at the gym, I was out of action for about 6 weeks. I said, "Woe is me! Why is this happening now? I was doing so well." And then I started to learn that you need to give your body rest. You need
Yeah.
to listen to your body. You need to do other things other than just exercise, other than things like, doing the food and concentrating on those bits.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned the hard way that I needed to do other things like stretching, like taking care of your body, resting, and just being mindful of that. So then I went a bit down. I felt down. I put some of the weight back on. My coach started to do reflections, and that's where the mindset shift went. She persevered for a number of months, and she really pushed me to look inside, look inside, look inside. And then something clicked. I don't know what it was. Something clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all started to fall into place. I had to find ways of, I wouldn't say fixing, but had to relieve the pain with the sciatica. So I found myself looking for chiropractors, masseuses, and I tried probably about four before I actually found the people that I'm using now.
Right.
And they gave me a program, relieved the pain, because there was a point where I couldn't actually walk a mile without actually sitting down 4 times in that mile.
Mm-hmm.
So where it all started to go well for me was exactly that, where I started to manage the pain, started to learn how my body worked and how I could use exercise to find things. I started to try new things like calisthenics. I tried to, I wasn't closed-minded, and I wanted to try new things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in all that time, I then started to have situations with my father, basically fractured his hip. So I had
Oh.
to, then, that happens. And it was really, really difficult, absolutely difficult, because I had to juggle my situation, my father, and everything else that was going on with it. And it was tough. And there was a time where I also fell out with my friend, and I considered the the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very, very dark time, because it felt like nothing was going right when things were going right.
Right.
But I parked that. Like I say, I sought professional help. I sought a therapist. I spoke to the therapist about it, and it was the best thing that I ever did. All
Mm-hmm.
these factors contributed to basically changing my mindset.
Right.
And when the mindset changed is when I started to see the light. I started to set goals like going, finding a challenge that would actually challenge me to prove that the impossible is actually indeed possible, and to try to find a way to communicate this to others.
Mm-hmm.
And I found Hyrox. And for those people that don't know what Hyrox is what they call a hybrid game, if you like, where
Okay.
you mix 8 kilometers of running with 8 different stations. So there is like the ski erg, a rowing machine. There's lifting wall balls onto a target. There is a sled pull and push. There is lunges, burpees, and there's lots of weird and wonderful things and very fun things.
Okay.
So I started to look into that, how I could actually do it. I tried to get tickets, and this event is just absolutely a worldwide success. So I tried to do it, and I couldn't get tickets. So how do I do that? I then volunteered for an event. I went into it, and the buzz is just absolutely incredible. And yeah, so I'm basically training for one of those now.
Good.
I've done my volunteering, which then grants me access to one of these events. And one of the struggles that I started to realize wasn't really a struggle, it was in my head, was the fact that going to the gym was for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That the first time I actually went into a gym, it was something that I thought people were going to look at me, judge me. And that was actually one of the reasons that I actually didn't go. That I also thought that exercise wasn't for fat people. That there was not a possibility of actually changing the way that I looked, the way that I could exercise, or the way that I could feel, the way that I could do things.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to believe in myself more and more and more and more. My father eventually passed away, and then I just basically said, look, as a legacy to him, I want to basically be able to do what he couldn't do at his age.
Yeah.
And I'm basically setting myself a target. I mean, he reached the tender old age of 82, and I promised myself that when I reach that age, I want to be able to do things that he wasn't able to do.
Right.
By simple exercise, by simple doing things that people think are impossible, that people think that are out of their reach, that considering that I probably was doing 6,000 steps a day, probably prior to starting this journey, I now average around 12,000. Yesterday, I did 19,000 steps.
Wow.
I managed to do a 5 kilometer run last year, and then a 10 kilometer run. And I can do that consistently.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, so now I basically train 3 times a day, 3 times a week. I'm consistent with my food. I don't demonize any food. I can have a chocolate bar here and there. I can have fast food here and there, but it's in moderation.
Right.
I don't restrict in that sense. I don't, of course I measure what I eat. I don't count calories. I used to, but I sort of can measure in my head how many
Right.
calories I consume.
Right.
I've even dabbled in making my own recipes. I'll go on social media, and I've tried the 2 or 3 ingredient bread, so I
Mm-hmm.
can cook my own bread. But the best part of all that is that I can involve my daughter to do the same.
Yeah.
And my daughter and I on a Sunday will do a calisthenics session with my coach. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just opened up so much for me. I look at nature. I walk in country parks. I will walk anywhere, and I just basically look at the world as just a discovery session. And I've just discovered so many nice people, nice things that I'm willing to do. Even I haven't even stopped thinking about what possibilities are when I've done the Hyrox. What
Yeah.
is the next step? What is, I'm just literally in my head, I'm thinking, I want to just progress and not necessarily find a finish point. I'm just going to basically carry on and see where I can go.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm always willing to try new things. I'm trying things like handstands. I haven't got there yet, but I'm thinking, doing things like handstands, doing, rolls, um, star jumps, and cartwheels, things that I never thought I would ever do at my age.
Mm-hmm.
Because the perception is or certainly when I grew up, you could probably relate that our parents probably didn't really think of doing things like this.
No.
Certainly my parents didn't,
No.
and that's what I'm trying to encourage my daughter to do. That she can be fit, she can do things that others can't. And there was a time when we went to her school for parents' evening, and she was so proud that she could do things that other kids couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's simply because of the encouragement of my journey,
Right.
and being able to do things that other people can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're teaching her, you're giving her a legacy. You're giving her generational wealth.
I think that's, yeah. I never saw it like that, and I always wanted to know what I could actually do for her, for her to be able to take away. I'm not taking anything away from my parents. They did their best, and they
Right.
tried as much as they could, and I'm not
Right.
taking anything away from them. However, I want to give my daughter something that I was never given,
Right.
because at school I absolutely hated anything that involved physical exercise, simply because of the way that I looked. I wasn't ever that sporty anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how to explain it. I was, the ginger kid with four, that was four eyes, that was a bit fat. And
You were
my mum,
average.
well, yeah,
I mean, those of us in that, I was average. I mean, in gym class, I was the one who didn't run the mile.
yeah.
Like I walked it,
I, I
or
feel for you
I would
then.
forget my gym uniform on
Yes,
purpose so I didn't have to dress for gym. Because
absolutely.
I didn't enjoy those aspects of exercise. And like you said, our parents never really exercised. I don't
No,
remember. I mean, my mom did Weight Watchers. My mom walked, but my dad didn't do it. He didn't work out or exercise, or they didn't encourage us to do that, but that was their journey.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, we wanted to and we want our kids to take away something positive, more positive than we may have gotten.
yes,
And when
exactly.
I
And that's
Yeah, and when I say you're giving her generational wealth, when people think of wealth, they automatically go to money, right? But to give your daughter the ability to see how healthy she can be. And is she a teenager?
she's 12 this year.
She's 12. So bless your heart, I can't imagine having a 12-year-old right now. I have
Yes, who's
I have
this?
a granddaughter. I have a 9-month-old granddaughter. I can't imagine having a 12-year-old right now. But even better, before she gets to that stage where she's going to be forming her own thoughts and her own beliefs and her own opinions, you're instilling this beautiful um, art of being healthy. And it's
Yes,
not in a way that is going to be detrimental. You're teaching her healthy eating habits by being able to eat whatever she wants, but you have to do it in moderation. And if you're overeating to begin with, you have to make those hard changes to start, which is measuring and calculating so that you can gain a perspective of how many calories is in a medium apple, right? So you can picture what your plate is going to look like, and so that you don't go outside your calorie range 7 days a week.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you
yeah.
should be incredibly proud that you are at that point where you can teach her those things.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Obviously I do want to still let her experience her own
Oh, absolutely.
journey, because I think it's important for her to make her own decisions. We don't, I certainly don't force her to do anything she doesn't want to do. But the good thing about the coach that we have, and is that she we're both told, if there is a fear, to face the fear in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a fear of doing things that we're not comfortable with, that we think that are going to hurt us, they're going to be painful, or whatever that might be.
Right.
But the way that we, the coach and I do it, is the fact that we don't force anything, because at the end of the day, the more that they force, the worse it is. But
Mm-hmm.
the reason that it's good for me to be there is that I will try something, and if she sees that I can do it,
Right.
and it encourages her to do the same. And there is a bit of tiny bit of competitiveness as well, and it's always nice for her to sort of do things that daddy can't do. And
Right.
when daddy does things that she can't do, she gets frustrated and improves. And it's just a constant game, and I really really like it. And the best part of it is that our relationship has blossomed because of it.
Yeah.
And it was just simply because of a suggestion that the coach said, why don't you both do it at the same time? Because it was first that it was, a class that it was only her or children in effect.
Right.
But we kept going week after week after week, and the other children started to weigh off. And then in the end, it was a one-to-one class, and then I joined, and the rest is as we are.
Right.
And it's just been an incredible experience ever since.
Oh, I love that. And she's gonna have these memories. She's going to remember this part of her life because it was there's such a good part of it,
Yes, absolutely.
right? So she's going to have she's learning by watching you. Even though you're not telling her what she needs to do, you're not telling her what she should do, she is taking the responsibility on herself to show up.
But the interesting thing as well
Mm.
is that I'm actually learning as well. I'm learning from
Oh yeah,
her.
we never
I'm
stop
learning.
learning, do we?
Yes, exactly. So I'm. She is an inspiration to me as well. It's not a case that I'm her inspiration, and I hope that I am her inspiration. But she's an inspiration to me as well,
Oh,
and simply because it's that little competitiveness, and as much as maybe some people may say, oh, it's unhealthy and all the rest of it. No, because I think it's important to strive to do better,
yeah.
strive to get that extra bit, even if you think that you perhaps you can't, and it's believing that the impossible is possible. And I want to instill that, because look, at the end of the day, okay, you could argue that we can't aspire to be Usain Bolt,
Mm-hmm.
but at least we can try, and we
Yeah,
can have fun by trying.
absolutely. Absolutely. So where are you going now? What are you're going to do the event. Is there anything else that you have planned for yourself?
Well, realistically, is basically I basically want to be the most consistent that I've ever been. So I basically train 3 times a week. I
Hmm.
do we call it the cliff lift steps. So there is a place. So I'm just to give you an idea, we're literally by the Thames estuary, which is in the southeast of England.
Okay.
It's literally at the tip where the Thames meets the open sea, basically.
Okay.
And every Wednesday morning, we basically do these steps, and it's 147 steps. We go up and down them 3 times. We
Wow.
do we do running up, and then we squat down. We do lunges up, and then we go walking down. And we do various exercises such as burpees on the stairs. We do jumps on the stairs, and this is basically an hour.
Hmm.
Okay, so we do that. There's 3 of us that do it currently, but it's open to everyone. We do it come rain, shine, cold, warm. And I've been doing that for 7 weeks. The other thing that I do the thing with my daughter, which is a calisthenics event, which is basically a body weight exercise. Is an incredible discipline. It's
Hmm.
very similar, and I think calisthenics athletes will absolutely cane me for saying this, but it's very similar to CrossFit, but more disciplined.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Yes, I'm going to be probably castrated by the calisthenics community, and I apologize profusely, but but I but it's just an easy way of explaining what calisthenics actually is, because unfortunately it's not a mainstream thing, although it's getting more mainstream as it gets along.
Right.
I just think it's an incredible discipline simply because there's things like handstands, muscle ups, pull ups, things that look absolutely insane, just simply doing using your body weight, and maybe
Hmm.
some rings and some bands. You don't really need a lot of equipment to do it. And so I want to get in that discipline. I want to get to doing a handstand and actually doing a freestanding handstand. So at the moment, I can, do it on the wall. I'm quite comfortable doing it on my arms. I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
I will also like to to be able to do a muscle up. I can do a skin the cat, which it's quite impressive when you actually look at it. So I encourage people to just have a look at calisthenics in general, but things like skin the cat, muscle ups, handstands, that kind of thing. And it is an impressive sport. And finally, on Fridays, I do basically a Hyrox training. So I will, with my trainer, we will concentrate on strength, core. We will do the burpee broad jumps as uh, like a session with that. I do the rows. So we basically concentrate on building up strength whilst doing other interesting and interesting things. But I keep looking at what's on social media, and I quite fancy sort of expanding a lot of my uh, expertise, if you like.
Hmm.
And I want to eventually go into potentially coaching and that kind of thing. So there is a lot of things that I really want to do.
Hmm.
I want to concentrate on me first, doing
Right.
this event, and telling my story.
Yep.
And then I really my ultimate goal would be to get people that look like me in the gym, recognizing that it's for everyone, recognizing that anything is possible if you really want it. That although things may look out of reach, they're really not.
Right.
And that the community out there, regardless of what we all look like, there is more people that probably look, in inverted commas, normal than those wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I love to look at the athletes that are absolutely ripped, that you in a sort of fantasy or close reality
Hmm.
that we all would love to look like. But for me, they serve as an inspiration that
Yeah.
what is possible,
What is possible?
what
Absolutely.
is possible, and there is a lot of encouragement out there.
Right.
Absolute lot of encouragement, regardless of what you look like.
Yep. And it all starts with putting one foot in front of the other.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And what I love is that um you said when you started, right? You started in 2020 with
Yes.
this with exercising. This is now 2026. So it's taken you 6 years to get to this point,
Yeah.
which is not a long time.
No.
It's really not. When you get to be our age, you realize that 6 years is not a long time.
No.
So, for those of you who are listening, if you're struggling to get started because you want things to be done in 6 months, it's not going to happen in 6 months, right? That's when you start to build that consistency. That's when you start to see the changes. But this is a lifelong journey. Getting exercise, mobility, strengthening, stretching, flexibility, changing your eating habits. It is a lifetime change. It is not I'm going to do this for 6 months, get down to where I want to be, and then I can go back to doing what I was doing before, because a year from now you're going to be right back where you were.
Yes. Well, one important point that I would like to mention as well is that it is definitely a lifelong change.
Yeah.
There is, I wouldn't never class it as a sacrifice. It's just basically a
Right.
point in your life that you need to make. You have to make some changes. Some of them will feel uncomfortable at first,
Mm-hmm.
but trust the process, and it will come. It will just basically, you don't necessarily have to absolutely cut everything in the world, and you don't have to do the Atkins diet. You don't have to do the keto diet. You don't
Right.
have to do all you simply have to do is cut it down. Try to do as much unprocessed food. That is
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yep.
You don't have to cut out fast food. In fact, probably about 3 weeks ago, my daughter and I went to the cinema, and she actually went for the first time. And we had we I mean, I don't want to promote the fast food places, but it's a very well known, and it isn't the Golden Arches, it's the other one.
Okay.
Um, because I enjoy it, but it's something that happens once, maybe every 3 or 4 months, maybe, because
Right.
she likes to have those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And
And
she's frankly got the metabolism probably to process it much better than we do.
yes, correct.
But
So,
there is nothing wrong with enjoying those things once in a while.
yes, and I, contrary to what I used to do before, I would have maybe a packet of cookies, and I would basically consume the whole packet.
Yeah.
Now I can buy a packet of cookies. I can still have them at home, and I can have one at a time. I'll have one day, two another day.
Right.
There's nothing stopping you having those things, but you have to have them in moderation.
Yep.
It's there isn't, and I will also say this, and it's something I've learned. There is a lot of misinformation out there. Absolutely, a lot of misinformation. You have to basically take it as it comes, and find what works for you. I started with, you know, getting vegetables and fruits that I actually liked. So I
Yeah.
basically went out and bought things like apples, strawberries, and then I started to experiment. So I then started to eat things like beetroot or things that I'd never tried before, avocados, that kind of thing. So I experimented, and I
Yeah.
basically did loads of things. There's so much out there, and like I say, don't class it as a diet, class it as a changing lifestyle,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
people think a diet is short term. No, this is a lifestyle change. This is consuming less and burning more. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And start with basic things like walking, like basic exercises. There's there's a ton of information out there, and just take your time. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a while to do it.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the 44 years before the 6 years that I've gone through this journey are just literally an imagination now.
Mm-hmm.
I I I feel like I've lived just 6 years in my life, because I've achieved more in these 6 years than I have in the
Yeah.
last 44.
That's
And
awesome.
that's just, but it's an incredible experience, because every day I do something, I feel so good afterwards. And there's another thing that I also think is important. There's going to be days and there's going to be times that you don't feel like doing it, or you feel that by doing what you would be saying it's 50% is
Mm-hmm.
not enough. Just think about this. I'll give you an example. And it was only yesterday, so I did the cliff steps yesterday. And because I was still a bit sore from, the Friday and the Sunday sessions,
Right.
I didn't feel 100%, but I felt 70%. And I said to myself, I'm going to go out there. I had a bit of a cold as well, so I had a bit of a runny nose. But I gave, of that 70%, I gave 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel great.
That's
I
awesome.
absolutely feel great. Of course, if your body says, I don't want to do it, don't force your body to do it
Right, right.
because you
And
might
that's
hurt
with
yourself.
anything. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
with
listen,
anything. Listen to
yeah,
your body.
listen to your body. But make sure that even if you feel 70% and you're not really feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that by the end of that session, you'll feel fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. Hippolito, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. And I look forward to seeing you coming across my social media page, starting your coaching business, helping others to get healthy in a simple way.
Yes, yes. Look, I'm incredibly grateful for the time that you've given me and being able to tell my story. It is important to me that,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say that 6 years ago, I wouldn't have done anything like this. The
Yeah,
confidence for me has grown.
good.
And the person you see here today is not the person that started this journey. I guarantee you that. Because if someone said to me that in 6 years that I would have been on a podcast and been able to actually speak to someone that I didn't know about something as intimate as this, I would have said, you are absolutely crazy and out of this world.
Yeah,
But things change.
it does. It does. It's amazing what really focusing on ourselves does for ourselves.
Yeah, and I'll also leave you this. I used to not be able to look at myself in the mirror. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely was disgusted with what I saw in the mirror. I hated myself. I really didn't, it was not a pleasant experience. I would actually
Mm-hmm.
walk past the mirror in the bathroom, and it was no. Now my body and I are friends. My body and I love each other, and
Good.
if it wasn't for this body, I wouldn't be able to do what I can do.
That's
So the
awesome.
body and mind are now one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I hope today's episode brought you inspiration, joy, and a spark of empowerment. Remember, transformation is an incredible journey, and every single step you take towards self-care and healing brings you closer to the life you truly desire. If this episode uplifted you, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us to share this journey of hope, resilience, and joy with many listeners. For more tips, support, and inspiration, come and visit us at designyourexistence.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep shining brightly. You are absolutely worth every bit of love and care you give to yourself. Take care, stay joyful, and be well.